There he is.
What's going on, guys?
We are going to take questions, Trav, and we're going to start with Sam Mcdowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, what's up, Travis? I'm just wondering, obviously you've been in the facility, we can see you're wearing a mask, so you've seen all the COVID protocols. What are your general thoughts about, being back at camp through what's going on right now, and how safe do you feel?
I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty good about the situation we have here in Kansas City. I know everyone's not as fortunate to have the head athletic training staff and all the docs that we do here in Kansas City. I get it, but everything that we're checking all the boxes out here in KC, and it's really making us feel at home. And I know it's a league-wide protocol, so it's not just us. Everybody has to follow these guidelines, and I'm just excited to be back in the building with the guys.
Let's go to Matt Mcmullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Travis. Thanks for doing this, man. I have two dogs fighting. Sorry about that. Been a unique offseason, obviously. Haven't been at the facility at all in quite a while. Be back and just focusing on football with your teammates again for the first time in a while. What's your mentality like heading into this camp and this season?
Yeah, it kind of feels like we're behind on the eight ball here. Just kind of play catch up right now, and it's just good to be around the guys. I mean, the meeting last night, it was long and insightful and informative, but just the small locker room talk that we got to have with some of the guys, catching up with everybody, it's it makes you feel at home. It makes you feel like you're back in the building again with the guys you went out and won it with last year. So it's definitely a good feeling to be back.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Travis, thanks again for taking some time. I was curious, you're entering your 8th camp here. You've been in the league now a long time. What type of things do you think that you could still work on to maybe even improve going into this year? And then other question, Blake Bell has moved on. What are some things that maybe you look for in someone who's going to be your number 2?
Well, I'll start with that one first. We have a great room, and Coach Tom Melvin always gets the guys ready to go. I know he's always harping on me to sharpen the tools and get better at your strengths, but also the weaknesses. We have to rise to the occasion, and definitely it's an all-around mentality of keep learning the offense. Coach Reed is going to do a great job of putting us in a situation to succeed, but we got to learn this offense and know it in and out, just like he teaches it. So it's definitely a fun process, but getting better is it's a year-long thing. It's a career-long thing. You can never be satisfied with where you are.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Travis, how you doing?
Doing good, Adam.
Good. Hey, what does the loss of Larry and of Damian Williams do to the offense? What kind of loss is this for you guys?
Man, it hurts, man. It hurts, but at the same time, you can obviously respect both of their decisions. Love those guys. It doesn't make me feel a grudge about either one of them. I totally respect what they're doing. And you know what? I think Coach Reed, Beach, the front office is going to do an unbelievable job of trying to fill that void, and the guys that we have in this locker room can fill that void. I truly believe that we have an unbelievable roster, and I'm pretty excited to see how this group molds together.
Let's go to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Travis, hope you're doing well. I know it's been a bit, but when you see the way Arrowhead Stadium set up, we kind of saw it yesterday, the way it was all with the locker rooms being spaced out and everything. Kind of, what is your initial reaction to how it's all going to be with this unique training camp? You're so used to St. Joe's, being around, active with the people, but now it's different. It's all you guys. It's enclosed and just a different spacing. What did you think of all that? And then I got to ask you about Mahomes and being number 4, if you will, in the NFL poll.
Well, the NFL poll is what it is. I mean, that's it's TV land, man. I don't want to harp on what happens in TV land, but everybody has their opinions and everybody has their favorites. So it is what it is. But I think, like I said earlier, the Chiefs have done an unbelievable job as an organization getting us set up here around our facilities where we're comfortable, we're familiar with it. Obviously, I love St. Joe. To everybody out there, we're going to miss you guys this year. Hopefully we can get back out next year. But for what we have to set up here in Kansas City at the 2 facilities, both the stadium and here at the practice facility, I think it's a very safe environment. I feel comfortable as can be going into training camp.
Let's go to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hello, Travis.
Hello.
Just your thoughts on no preseason games. What will you guys have to do to get ready to start a season when you don't have a dress rehearsal?
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting transition, especially for the young guys, the guys that haven't had quite the reps to feel out how fast the game is going to be. But I think also that Coach Reed does an unbelievable job of getting us ready for our first game, and I think it'll have to be modified just a little bit. But I think Coach Reed, I got all the trust in the world in Coach Reed and the coaches to get all these guys ready for that week one opportunity against Houston. And the biggest thing I think that we're going to miss out on is defensively being able to tackle. You can try and simulate it as much as you can, but until the bullets are flying, you really don't know what a guy's going to do instinctually. And I think those are things that you definitely got to build on. And you'll see teams progress a lot further along in the season because we're kind of catching it later on in terms of that learning process. So.
Go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Travis, hope you're doing well. Andy on Saturday had said that, it's going to be up to the players to doing the right things when you leave the building. Curious, what that means to you, and as a veteran of this team, how can you, underscore that message to the young guys?
It's accountability. I mean, the guys coming in the office, they know what this team is capable of. They know what this team is capable of. I mean, it shows what we did last year. And who all we got coming back, which means we got just about every single leader that we had in this locker room outside of two that respectively decided to opt out. I think that we're as set and ready leadership-wise as we've ever been. And the tone has to be set, and the accountability has to be set amongst all the guys in the locker room to, there's a virus out here. It's not something we can play around with. It's something that we have to take serious. And, guys are going home to their families. We have kids and wives and beautiful families that we have to make sure that we're all being held accountable for. So, like Coach Reed said, just making sure you're doing the right things for the guys around you. But I don't see much of a problem because a lot of that is already kind of set in the culture that Coach Reed and the leaders on this team have set.
Let's go to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Travis, thank you so very much for taking the time to do this. One, you were instrumental in designing the Super Bowl championship rings. Do you know when you all are going to receive them, if you're going to have like a Washington Nationals type of event in the unveiling of it? And then also, obviously, you see the background behind me. What are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter and do you support what they have going on?
I support, without a doubt, everything that's going on in the social justice in this world right now. Black Lives Matter is something that's very personal to me because I have a lot of friends, a lot of family that fall into that world, and it's something that I've been very passionate about since I've been in the league, and it's almost a responsibility that I take upon myself to show the support and show the want for change. And that being said, I forget the first question you asked. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I was asking about you were instrumental in the design of the Super Bowl ring. So just wondering, do you know when you all are going to receive them and what type of unveiling you're going to do for it?
You know what? You can say I was instrumental in it, but they kind of just threw it on the screen, and I was like, oh, that's nice. I would like one of those. Yes. And it was it's a beautiful ring from when I saw it. In terms of how we're going to receive it, or if there's going to be any type of party or whatever it is, I think that's kind of second to everything that's going on right now. I think we're all just focused on trying to go get another one this year, and we'll worry about all that when it happens. And just to say something about the Black Lives Matter, that's why I love Kansas City and this organization, because Clark Hunt and our president, Mark Donovan, have done an unbelievable job of reaching out to the players on this team to try and find something that makes sense and is meaningful to this community and to the players in this locker room. And I love them for it.
All right, guys, we've got 3 more hands up. We'll make these our final ones. Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Trav, I think this is the first time we're going to talk to you since the Mahomes contract. I just was curious what your reaction to the deal was, and then even though you've been putting up this production even before Mahomes, just how fortunate do you feel to be able to play with him during really both your primes?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you can hype up Mahomes all you want, man. I'm a firm believer that well, let me say this. Let me restart that. Obviously I'm a big fan of Pat's. Pat is unbelievable. I think he's the best player in the National Football League. You can't tell me there's a better quarterback than him. That's for sure. You can turn on whatever film you want. He's the best player in the National Football League in my mind. And he led us to a Super Bowl because he is that. I was very fortunate to have a great quarterback in Alex Smith. I've always thought very highly of him. Excited to see what he's got going out in Washington right now. And yeah, I think moving forward that when Pat got into the huddle, it was just a little bit different, man. And it is what it is. I think he brought a different energy, a different style of the game that even I was a little bit more accustomed to, just going out there and playing ball in the backyard type football. And as he progresses, as he starts to learn more about defenses and gets into the defensive coordinator's minds, I mean, his game is just going to keep going up and up until probably something that we've never seen before. If what he's doing already isn't something that we've seen before. So I think it's a fun time to be a Kansas City Chief, and it's because one of ours in the board.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Travis. Good to see you. We got to listen to Rick Burkholder a few days ago try to explain the process to us as to what's going on at your guys' facility. I'm just wondering, from a player standpoint, how important was it to hear his direction of what you guys would be doing, and just how guys are getting accustomed to the new layout in terms of locker room, and then as many guys as you can try to interact with, even though obviously football is the ultimate team sport.
Yeah. I think the biggest key and the biggest message outside of all the guidelines and the precautions, the safety measures that you have to take in the building is don't get lazy. Don't get comfortable in what we're going through right now, because that's when it's gonna kind of jump at you and hurt you. And it is what it is. It's a virus that unfortunately we can't control to a certain extent right now, but what we can control is our actions and how we're performing as athletes and what we're doing outside of the building, and we can minimize it as much as we can. And just being accountable and not taking it lightly at all, and making sure we're making the right decisions.
Okay, let's go to Steve Wallace to close this out. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Travis, how's it going, man?
Steve, what's up, big
Not much, man. You talked about holding guys accountable, but just how much of it is this really based on trust, knowing that guys are going to do the right thing away from the team? And also to the people out there that think that they shouldn't wear a mask, what's your message to them so that football can come back?
I think it goes way, way, way beyond football, man. Wearing a mask is if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, it's life or death for a lot of people. And who's to say who's safe and who's not safe, and who's able to get this disease and who's not, or how? It's such a question mark on what's going on with this virus right now, that wearing a mask is the first thing that you can do from saving somebody else from getting it, knowing that you don't know if you have it because of how it's been rapidly making its way into every single city and a lot of homes in these communities. So it's a scary time, and if you want to be, I say just wear the mask. I won't get into it too much. Just be safe about it. Wear the mask and respect the people around you, just as you would if it was your family member or if it wasn't. Act as if you have the virus already, and I think everybody would just be fine going from there.
Travis, we appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, guys, hang tight. We're going to have Tyrann come up next in 1 minute. Hang tight. All right, guys, we got Tyrann come on up here in a second. Hey, Tyrann, can you hear us?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Awesome. Let's get started with Bob Fesco. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Ty, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good.
Good, man. Hey, what were your thoughts when you saw that Pat was rated as the 4th best player in the NFL by the players yesterday?
I couldn't believe it. I'm not that surprised. When players are voting for these things. So, and Pat has been, handling his business since he's gotten the league. So maybe he don't have that many fans in the league, but I'm sure he's motivated. I know a lot of his teammates are motivated as well. We all feel like he's not only the best player in the NFL, but one of the best teammates as well.
Let's go to Sam Mcdowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyrann, what's up, man?
Hey.
Just wondering, you've now been in the facility. You've seen all the health and safety protocols. I know you guys are in a completely different locker room. I wondered if you could just touch on just the oddity of the setup, and also I saw that you said you wouldn't blame anyone for opting out. Was this an easy decision for you to come back, or did you really have to weigh some things?
Well, I love football, so it'd be hard to kind of pull me away from the game. But I'll probably say this: since being in the facility, we're kind of like in our own bubble, so to say. I feel like Rick and Chiefs, Mark, Clark, all these people have really, taken the time, and put some money into this to where, they're providing us with the things we need to kind of avoid each other when we can. So I think, and then a lot of this is going to fall on us just being responsible as well. Once we leave from outside the facility, I think that's going to be the big thing, especially with younger guys. So I'm more than sure I'll be preaching that all season, just trying to keep everybody, focused.
Let's go to Ruth Biggest. Go ahead, Ruth.
Hi, Ty. Wanted to find out 2 things real quick. One, where you're at with the whole vote movement that you spoke about earlier. And then the second is you're always doing such great stuff in the community. Wonder, what you're looking at, lay of the land as we move into the season.
Yeah, well, I feel like as far as the voter registration, I feel like the conversations, we've had with Clark and Mark has been going really well. I look forward to seeing us, really begin to impact the community, especially here in Kansas City. I probably say aside from that, my foundation, we've teamed up with When We All Vote, was really as a universal program to kind of bring awareness to voter registration, getting people in certain communities to start voting. We're trying to make that cool again.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, I want to follow up on Bob Fesco's first question there on the NFL top 100 list. Obviously, that process starts during the regular season. You all get your ballots, and then you turn it in at the end of the year. But what would you do to change that? Because obviously, everyone knows what Lamar Jackson was doing, but I think a lot of that gets lost in this voting process.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys, we don't watch that much TV, so when we do, we can kind of get caught up into whoever ESPN is saying is, having a really good season. And, to kind of be honest, most of the times when we vote for this is after practice and we don't really want to be there. And so guys are kind of looking at each other and look like, hey, who's having a good season? And so we're just kind of putting names down. I probably say, obviously you want to continue to keep the players involved with that. I think it's fun for the game. Obviously not everybody likes where they get ranked at. But I think that's part of it. I'd probably say I wouldn't change anything about it. I'll just probably get that list to the players before practice. That way they can actually, think about who they're voting for.
Let's go to Matt Mcmullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Tyrann. You've been preaching this all off season, but now that you're actually here at the facility, you're at camp, you're with the guys. How do you make sure that you guys aren't complacent with winning it all last year, that you guys are hungry for another title this year?
Well, I think it just starts with, obviously guys like Patrick, myself, Frank Clark, just setting the tempo. Obviously, I feel like, I'm extremely motivated. Obviously, I feel like there's so much more that we can really achieve. on an individual level, on a team level. I feel like defensively, we still aren't, talked about in the breadth that I would like. So I'm extremely motivated to kind of keep my guys, chipping away at it. And we're constantly trying to set a standard that everybody's going to respect. And so I'm hoping the young guys that we added and some of the veterans we've added could kind of, help bring, that swagger to the room.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tyrann, thanks for doing this, man. Good to see you. I know that because you have children, much like some of the guys who have decided to opt out, you have to put that as part of your equation as to how you're going to handle this when you leave the facility. I just wonder what your plan is and what the team has sort of explained to you about how to keep both you and your family safe throughout this process once you leave sort of the Chiefs bubble setup. And then my second question is, because of what we saw from a facility setup yesterday, just how interesting is it, or how different and unique is it to see sort of the defensive meeting room in the stadium where you guys have to be spread out, but it might be one of the few times you guys can congregate in some manner during this pandemic?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, especially once we leave, the building, is just prioritizing, understanding, what's our responsibility, not only to ourselves and to our families, but to our teammates. So, obviously you want to, if you have a job and you have the opportunity to go make your money, then you should go do that. But you should go straight home afterwards. You really shouldn't, leave your home, especially without a mask. You definitely shouldn't leave your home to go, congregate with, lots of people. So I probably say that's the biggest emphasis is to, let's just focus on football. Let's just focus on our families. Let's try our best to kind of limit, the access, we have to other people. I'll probably say this, going into the facility, especially the stadium, the meeting room yesterday, I feel like everything is where it's supposed to be. I feel comfortable. I feel like there's enough space. Obviously, you kind of get lost looking for people sometimes in a room. But other than that, for me, it's hard to complain. I'm really, really happy and excited. I feel blessed. I feel fortunate to be standing here, to have this job, to be making the money I'm making. So I'm not really in a position to kind of point things, tell people this and that. I'm reluctant. I'm happy, grateful.
Let's go to Greg Eklund. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing? I wanted to ask you because before you came to Kansas City, you were with Houston, and everything in the opener, that's the target. Houston is the opener. And do you sense from being there and being in Kansas City now and from the two meetings last season that this is kind of a rivalry that's shaping up much in the way that the Colts and the Patriots had through the years?
Well, yeah, for sure. I spent the season with, Deshaun Watson, and, I feel like, being with Patrick last season, both of those guys are pretty similar to what they bring to their team. Obviously both of them are the franchise guys, and both of them are highly competitive. They come in the building with the right spirit, the right attitude. They work the right way. And obviously they have the talent to lead a football club, man. I think anytime you have two guys like that in that position in the same conference, it's going to be special, especially once you talk about getting into playoff football and championship football. I wouldn't mind playing against Deshaun Watson in big games. I feel like he's one of those players that brings it out of you. He makes you prepare the right way, and I'm sure Patrick does that as well for a lot of people.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, thanks, Darren, for taking some time with us. I just have two quick ones. First, going back to the NFL Top 100, even in the All-Pro list, you ended up taking what was a 4-year break, and I just was wondering, do you think that there was anything different that happened with you last year that led to this elite level of play, like something that you could zone in on? And then my second one was, what are your expectations for Juan Thornhill, who's your running mate now, in his return this year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. For one, I find any little reason to motivate myself. I can tell myself anything and spin it in my head anyway. So, I don't really care too much about the top 100 unless I make myself care. I'm highly motivated to prove to everybody that I'm one of the best, players in this game. And I still have that motivation. I'll probably say my my hope for Juan is that, obviously he take it easy. He don't put any, extra stress on himself. Obviously, he plays for a good football team, and I think we have the ability to play late into the season. I think him being a young guy, I think the most important thing for him is his health. So as long as he can kind of keep that in front of him, being anxious to play, I think he'll make the right decision. I feel like Rick and his staff they're pretty transparent. They're probably the best in the business when you talk about coming back from injuries and whatnot. So I know he'll be ready to roll, but obviously you don't want him to feel like he has to put too much pressure on himself early on.
All right, guys, I know we've still got a lot of hands up. We're going to do a few more. Let's go to Breland. Go ahead, Breland.
Darren, you guys posted on Twitter already about the NFL and NFLPA agreeing to limit player activity outside of work. How does this affect your team bonding and building that team chemistry? Because I know that's so vital for you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, especially last season. I used to try to have the guys over every week, just watch football, kind of interact, get to know each other outside the game. I just feel like that's so fundamental into, playing hard for the person next to you. So obviously I feel like we're going to have to find some ways to, maybe we'll get in groups of 5 and space out, I don't know, but I feel like that was something that really brought us close together, especially as the season went along. And obviously it'll be a big adjustment. It'll be a big transition not having that. We just have to find other ways to kind of get it out of each other.
All right, we're going to go to Steve, and then we're going to go to Adam to close it out. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Tyrann, how's it going? Hey, you're always giving back to the various communities, whether it's Kansas City or your home state in Louisiana. During this pandemic, you've been virtually mentoring at-risk youth to curb the violence in Louisiana. Can you speak about that and how that partnership came about?
Yeah, it's been that has actually been pretty cool, man, to partner with the Truth program, who already does a lot of work in the inner cities in Louisiana, especially with violent kids that have behavioral issues, and so for me, it's just me being an outlet for them, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to partner with Truth. A lot of these kids, they know me, and for them, they've been able to kind of see my whole life kind of grow up right in front of their eyes, so they know that it's possible. And I think for me, it's just about sharing my experiences with them. I come from the same place as them. I've made some of the same mistakes they made. I think they don't have enough people in their life telling them that they can do something. And I think, I just want to be one of those people. So I'm looking forward to continuing to have that program and also getting more kids to register us and join.
Okay, go ahead, Adam. Close us out.
Hey, Tyrann, just wanted to ask you about this upcoming season. We just heard Travis Kelce say that he kind of feels like the team's a little bit behind the 8 ball with just the limitations on what you guys have been able to do. For you personally, as a leader on the team, how important is it to make sure that you bring along these young guys to help them get ready for the season and for this offseason? What did you have to do to really make sure that you came in shape and ready to go?
Yeah, I think, the most important thing, especially me, in my group, I have a lot of young guys in my group. So I'm always trying to lead them the right way, obviously trying to set the right examples for them. We've been already having certain conversations about this season and how tough it's going to be and how long it may feel. And I think it's going to be important for us to continue to lean on each other for positive spirit, for positive confidence. And, not really, get sidetracked. I think the most important thing is team right now. And obviously outside of that, taking care of your families.
Tyrann, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, hang tight here, and we got Hitch up next. There he is. Hitch, can you hear us?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, let's get started here. Let's start with Miss Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi there, Hitch. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Just fine. One of the things I'm interested in is how does a defense prepare for a season when you're not going to have the opportunities to really get those hits in a preseason dress rehearsal? Do you have other ways that you can feel you can get ready for a season?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways, and being on in my year 7 now, there's a lot of different ways you can get ready for a game without just throwing your body and hitting people in practice. And it starts in the meeting room. You can get a lot out of the meeting room, walkthroughs, just repetition. That's how we got better last year. We got to practice early, did more walkthroughs. You can see a lot in slow motion. You don't have to be going 100 miles per hour, to get better. And I think that's what we did last year. We took the pads off early, but we all got better as a team. So Coach Reed's doing a good job of putting our schedule together and, getting us ready. He's been around for a long time, so we're just going to listen to him and I'll go from there.
Go to Bob Fesco. Go ahead, Bob.
Anthony is one of the kind of the veterans on this team and one of the leaders on this team. Obviously you have a bigger role than some. And Coach Reed has spoke about, taking care of business away from the facility. But what are you guys as player leaders telling the other players about the way that they need to act once you guys all leave the facility and go home for the night?
Yeah, we just telling all the young guys, just be smart. It's not about you. It's just about the team. A lot of us has families and wives and kids, and if you go out and do something that's you're not supposed to, you can affect other people's families. And we have a lot of good people here. Beach and Coach Reed and them did a good job. We get a lot of good guys here, so I got all the confidence in the world that everybody go home and be smart and just get ready to work. Lock in for these 6 to 7 more months straight, and let's play ball and let's play safe.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Hey, you talked earlier about there are ways to improve even without even having missed out on so much practice so far. But you're a veteran guy. You've been here a couple years with the Cowboys, a few years before that. You've kind of been through this. You know what it's like to get ready. What advice would you have for a young guy like Willie Gay in preparing for a season when he's kind of starting from scratch completely?
Yeah, I already talked to him plenty of times. Just get in your playbook. So when you get out there, you done seen it already. You visualize it, watch film. We got so much film on our iPads. You can watch so many tapes from years past. Even when Spags was back with the Giants, we got tape on that. So, you just got to watch film. You got to do the other things. You got to do everything possible that you can do without running out there and hitting people and getting the physical reps. So, me being a vet, I'm just trying to take everybody under my wing and show them there's other ways to get better. And then once you get out there on that field, it's like you've seen it already. I've seen that on film. I already walked through this. I've seen this in the classroom already. So there's other ways to get better. And we have a lot of vets on this team. So we got to use that as an advantage and, just bring the young guys along.
Go ahead, Sam Mcdowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Hitch, hope all is well, man. Just based on your tweet on social media when it was announced that you guys at least were for sure going to be coming back to training camp, you expressed some concerns over COVID. Can you kind of outline those concerns? And I wondered if you wrestled with opting out at all or if this was an easy decision to come back. And then, Brad, if you don't mind, I'll have a quick follow-up.
Yeah, just like everybody else, we just wanted to be safe. I have a 14-month-year-old at home. I have a wife, and I just wanted to be safe. And I feel like Rick and the staff did an amazing job. Our facility, spacing everybody out, meetings, different spots at different times, our masks, all types of stuff. So I just wanted to be safe, just like everybody else. And it's not just me. I just happened to, speak my mind at the time. I just wanted to be safe, and I think we're doing what's best, for the Chiefs and for the NFL and for everybody's families. And no, I never thought about opting out. I just wanted to be safe.
You got my follow-up in there, too. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Anthony. Football is obviously, a team sport. You guys have, a little bit more challenges from people number count more so than other sports that are, obviously restarting. I just wonder for you, because you've been at home for much of this offseason, you haven't seen the guys, obviously we haven't gone through a usual offseason. Just what was the feeling in the atmosphere once guys got back together in the facility and they were obviously you guys are going to encounter together your new reality? Just what is the chemistry and the camaraderie been like seeing guys now after just doing so many Zoom OTAs over the summer?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Seeing everybody there, everyone smiling. We can't get too close, so we high five in the air and dap in the air and stuff like that. And we just trying to be responsible on that end. But it's a good feeling getting everybody back in the same building. We're using the stadium right now. We're spaced out, but just to have everybody in one building and going through meetings tonight. We got more meetings, and just to get it going. Just putting our foot in the door. It's an amazing feeling. I feel like it's been so long, and I'm just ready to get rolling in the safest way possible.
Go to Harold Koontz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Anthony, kind of following along what Sam asked earlier, you did mention the fact that you have a child and wife that you want to keep safe, but around this area, a lot of kids are trying to get back to school. What are your kind of thoughts and opinions on kids going back to school? Do you feel like it could be safe? Because not everybody has the advantages that you have as professional football players and the facilities that you have in Arrowhead. So just kind of overall, what's your thought on that process?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I don't know the size of the schools and stuff around here. And I feel like it can be done. It'll be a little harder because of the funds and things like that. But I think it can be done. Same thing how we wearing masks. I think the kids should wear masks as well. Stay, keep their distance. Most classrooms are big enough to spread their distance out and things like that. And it'll be tough. And it's a very touching subject because some people can't stay at home. Some people need jobs. Some people need money. So that's a very touching subject. But I think it could be done, and I'm sure it's going to be some trial and error with that as well.
All right, guys, we've got 4 hands up left. We're going to go right down the line here. So, Darren, you were up first. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. So my question for you is obviously with the Black Lives Matter movement, and I know it seems that you probably will be involved with Patrick and Tyrann. How important do you believe it is to make sure that the voting and the registration that they do happens in the 3rd and 5th district here in Kansas City, because it's most needed here versus the other surrounding areas here in Kansas City?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I'm definitely on that side with Pat and all the vets on the team and our coaches and our GM, Beach, and everyone is doing a good job of getting us in the community and getting in details and try to help people vote and register to vote. And anytime we come up with any ideas, I'm all for it. And we got to start somewhere, and we're going to start here in Kansas City, and hopefully it reaches out to the Missouri side and all the states across the world.
Let's go to Matt Mcmullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Hitch. You mentioned how good this defense was down the stretch last year. Just what gives you confidence in this group that you guys can get ready and be ready week 1 to be one of the best defenses in the NFL right from week 1?
Yeah, I just think we've got to build from what we did at the end of last year. We got a lot of guys returning. I mean, that's not promising anything, but we know how to win, and we felt that joy of beating people and playing good defense and not winning 50-51, and actually beating people. So that feeling is none other, especially after the Super Bowl. So I mean, we got fired. Like we're just getting started, and that's the best thing about this team is we're not satisfied at all. So I just think we all have that mindset, and with the Coach Reed as our leader, sky's the limit.
Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Anthony, thank you for taking some time with us. I was curious, now that Damien has opted out, Clyde projects to be the guy, no preseason games, so he's going to have to get ready at camp. You've been in the league a lot of years. From your mindset, defensive mind, wrapping your head around it, what's going to be the toughest part about defending Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-around back. Our job is to get him ready for week 1 as a defense, show him different looks, practice hard, try to strip the ball out, have some tight coverage on him, and I think we have a lot of veterans that's just going to do that. So you can get ready in week 1 by practicing, especially at this tempo and this speed that Coach Reed presents to us. So I'm more than confident he'll be ready by week 1, who was playing running back position with them. And I think I know if you could show up to practice and you practice hard, you'll be ready by week 1. You have no choice. If you either keep up or you fall behind here. So looking forward to it.
Go to Bob Fesco to close us out. Go ahead, Bob.
Anthony, just kind of two-parter here, but one more about the COVID thing. How much did the Marlins situation and their, mess up affect you guys and what they did as a learning experience for you guys? And also, could you believe Pat was the 4th best player in the NFL and not number 1?
Yeah, with the Marlins, it's gonna happen. You just try to prevent it. I'm not sure the whole details of how it happened and stuff like that. I just think guys got to just be more safe. We all tested. We got, I think, 14 straight days or something like that. We have to test, and just got to be safe. One bad act can ruin a season or a team. So when you're going out there and trying to do things that's not in the bubble or at the complex or at home, you can affect everybody. So I just think people need to just be smart, and this is all we got right now. So we have to take advantage of it. And with Pat, my eyes, he's the best player in the league. But I'm not voting. And I know Pat, he's just going to get better and better. So that's just more motivation for him, which I don't think he needs anymore. But yeah, man, he's definitely the best player in the league in my eyes, and he's young and he's just going to keep growing.
Hitch, we appreciate you taking the time today, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you guys.
All right, guys, hang tight. We're going to have Mitchell Schwartz come up next for you.
just anything? I'm good.
No, you look good. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
All right, let's get started here. We're gonna start with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Mitch, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Couple things. First, was wondering whether you'd had a chance to talk to Larry, and maybe you can, if you have, maybe you can convey some of the difficulty that how difficult that decision was for him. And also, with him out, you're going to be playing next to a new right guard. Just what are your thoughts on that process, and particularly without OTAs and a real full training camp, what that process might be like this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's already put out a statement and talked about how difficult it was. I mean, we know how much he cares about football and being here. So for him to be able to make that decision and choose that, we know how difficult that was. So he's already covered that. Anything we talked about is between us. In terms of new guys, we've got guys who've been here. We got a couple new guys. That's something that I think Coach Heck has always been extremely good with in terms of moving people around and making sure that throughout training camp and throughout the practice times, he's cross-training as many people as possible so that when you inevitably do have guys get hurt or things happen, you're not playing next to someone that you never played next to before. So even if it's drill to drill, guys, doesn't really matter where you line up. You just kind of get a feel for who's next to you. So we got a lot of really good players. I mean, I think our offensive line is going to be awesome this year, and it's just nice to kind of get back into the normal swing of things.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Mitch, hope you're doing well. Coach Reed on Saturday talked about just the fact that the personal responsibility that players have once they leave the facility is just going to be just as important. Curious, as a veteran on this team, what have you and guys like Patrick has been the message to the younger players as far as what they got to do when they're not there in the building?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to control that, obviously. I think the biggest thing is, you go to the meetings and as you kind of see the steps that have to happen in terms of if a guy gets COVID, all of a sudden all the people that he's potentially been around needs to quarantine for a little bit of time. And so one guy testing positive could have this huge, spill off where, a certain amount of people then have to go away for 5 days. And, there's all these kind of steps in the process that you realize like, hey, one single test could really have an effect on multiple weeks for our football team, especially once we get into the season. So, I think that was the biggest thing that people kind of realized. It's not, oh, I have it, I got to stay out for 2 weeks. That sucks, but it's going to be okay. It's, oh, I have it, these other people could be affected, and now it's kind of this debilitating thing that, we see with the Marlins. A couple guys get it, and then the whole team gets it. So, I think we all, realize how important it is. So obviously, we can take a lot of, self-discipline to make sure we're doing our thing away from the building, because in the building, it's honestly easier than anything else. I mean, you see signs everywhere. Everyone else is wearing masks. There's disinfectant everywhere. These guys have done such a great job of setting us up for success here. It's going to take that kind of discipline away from the building.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Mitch, thanks for taking some time. Joey Bosa just signed a contract extension. This is one of your rivals each and every year. You see him twice a year. I was just curious, him in particular, what makes him unique and what goes into your preparation when it does come time for Bosa week?
The preparation is just a lot of panic that week and kind of calm your stress down. But he's just, incredibly well-rounded. I mean, there are guys that have a plan in terms of they want to attack you this way and they study you and all that. And there's guys who are instinctive, and he really combines the two of them. He has the plan and he knows how he wants to attack you. He knows what's going to work. And then, the second you overset, he goes inside, or the second you set too far on your heels, he feels that, he bull rushes you. So, it's really difficult. There's not much you can do. I mean, you just got to try to kind of battle and hope the ball's out. He's able to do anything and either run or pass, and so that's something that that's why he's the highest paid guy in football on the defensive side, and it's very well deserved.
Let's go to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Mitch, I want to ask you about some of the newer guys on the offensive line. I don't know if you know too much about it, but Assembly and Rimbers, and along with Martinez Rankin coming back. I know that you guys have always mentioned that, kind of getting your time right and spacing right is kind of the big things that you work on before camp. How are you going to be able to try to work on those things with kind of a new group kind of being meshed together?
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily get the feel for things until you're in pads anyway. And, for the most part, we have, I'm pretty sure, about as many padded practices as we normally would. So They might not all be the same length as they used to be, whether that's COVID or new CBA rules. But I think we're going to have a pretty good amount of practice. And, honestly, the older guys are and the more they've played, I think the easier it is to kind of mesh them together. Obviously, KO's had an awesome career. Remmers has had a really good career too. And so, those are guys who understand fits and understand how to play together with people, next to people. So that's something, I'm not too worried about. And then, Rank, he played great last year. I was really excited to see him keep progressing. It was a bummer. I guess my injury kind of made him get hurt as well because he had to move to right tackle. But, I hope to see him healthy. I don't know exactly what his status is going to be, but, I know he played really well last year and, just excited to, keep seeing that growth. And I think we've seen, offensive linemen get injured every year. It could be one, it could be five. And, they've always had really good depth here, and that's what has been able to, keep us sustaining success.
Let's go to Bob Fesco. Go ahead, Bob.
Mitch, you mentioned the Marlins, and I know it's another sport, but you brought it up, and we talked with Hitch about it as well. When you see something like that happen in another sport, how big a kind of a wake-up call maybe is it for everybody else in professional sports when you see that one team could bring down maybe an entire league just based on the fact that they may not have done what they were supposed to be doing away from the facility? And how do you relay that message as a veteran leader to those younger guys in the locker room that may, not have families or anybody else at home?
Yeah, like you said, it's just seeing what's going on and, making sure guys are doing the right thing. And if you see someone, it's easy when you're at the meal room, you take your mask off, you're eating, you get up to go get a water. You're used to that, but that's a time where, you got to remember to put your mask back on because you're going to come in close contact with people. But things like that, you see things, hey, just make sure you're doing this. And then, ideally, we're here for however many hours a day. You just get so used to it that that's kind of what happens at home. We've always had, football being, the last sport to finish and, kind of the first one to start back up with the COVID. We've obviously had the most time to try to learn from other sports, see what they're doing. Obviously, they got delayed and didn't start till this month anyway. But we have the benefit of, seeing what's going on, potentially learning from their mistakes. So we just got to, kind of keep that practice going. And, just realizing, especially, baseball is 25 guys, basketball is 12 guys, and we're on a much larger scale. So, that first domino can affect, a lot more than, the other sports.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Mitch. Good to see you again. I have two questions for you. On the football side, I know you guys have to keep a ton of awareness and obviously accountability and sustaining it in terms of the coronavirus and obviously trying to keep everybody healthy. When you guys do have practice and when you guys do put on the pads, because there's been so much time off between now and the Super Bowl, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for maybe you and the team as a whole when you guys do get to practice? And then secondly, because of all the arrangements that have been put in place to keep you guys as healthy as possible, was there anything that you saw when you first got into the facility that maybe surprised you or you weren't prepared for that you think will ultimately lead to success in keeping guys healthy?
To the first question, you're always worried about change of direction stuff. That's something that I think Coach and Rick and those guys have a good plan for. You can be in good shape or great shape, but you're never really in football shape until you're playing football. So that's something that you kind of get into football shape in a lesser degree during OTAs. So we have to catch back up a little bit on that. I know the schedule allows us a few of those types of practices, before camps. And I think pretty sure like the first padded practice is only an hour and a half, and then there's like a 15-minute kind of ramp period. So, typically you show up, you run a conditioning test, you have two, kind of lighter practices, and then you'd be potentially only a 3-hour padded practice. And, now we've got 2.5 weeks until we practice or whatever it is. And then that first practice is only an hour and a half. So I think the ramp up is going to be, a really good thing for us. And, I know Rick's always, kind of cutting edge in terms of the science and knowing what we need. To the other question, when you go in the locker room and you see all the, the glass, spacers, I think that's probably the biggest thing that, hits you. We've had the lockers have to be spread out and all this, but then you actually literally see all these glass dividers, and it's going to be kind of funny to see people try to change and maneuver in them, because for the big guys, it's not the most space in the world. But I think, again, that's kind of the stark reminder that's going to be there every day of, how important it is and how important, physical space is.
All right, guys, we've got two hands up. Let's go to Amanda, and then we'll close it out with Bob. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, I was just wondering what it's been like for you to see Alex Smith make his comeback. And I mean, he was a former teammate of yours, so what's it just been like to see him come back in Washington?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I don't really like watching injury stuff, so I wasn't really able to watch the E60 thing because I don't, like seeing visuals like that. And so, it's really impressive that he's gotten all the way back. And, I don't know exactly. I think originally it was reported he was all the way back and then he's on PUP. I'm not sure what the official status is, but the fact that he's back to this point and, potentially going to be ready to play an NFL season is obviously incredible. I mean, we all know the kind of worker he is and the kind of guy he is. I mean, the past couple of years, we've heard Pat talk about that and how much, his career has been shaped by Alex. So it doesn't really surprise any of us that, he's gotten himself back to this point. And, when he puts something in his head and he wants to challenge himself, we've seen it time and time again. He's going to do it. I mean, that last season here, he was the best downfield passer in the NFL, according to the stats. And that was, the thing that everyone kind of bashed him for. So he put that in his head. He made it happen. So it's definitely not a surprise. And it's, obviously really great to see him and that he's healthy enough to be able to play football again.
Let's go to Bob Fesco to close this out. Go ahead, Bob.
Mitch, you jokingly, and maybe not jokingly, said panic for Bosa week. What do you think the feeling is in the other locker rooms when they have to prepare for Mahomes week?
I would imagine pretty similar. There's talking about another guy that knows what to do on the script and also can just freelance off script. It's nice having him on our side, that's for sure. Just incredible. I mean, obviously the contract is more than justified, and it's exciting to know that he's going to be here for forever. And obviously the Royals ownership stake, and I think it just keeps cementing himself into the city. I mean, there's a pretty special connection between him and the city. Just being, I think when I first got here, I mean, someone said the last homegrown Chiefs quarterback to win X number of games or win a playoff game or something had been over 30 years. And so, Kansas City drafted Pat. He's the guy. He's homegrown, best quarterback in the NFL. All those things. Hopefully he's got 15 or 20 years left. So it's gonna be really fun to see. And I'll be long gone by the time he's in his late 30s. But I'll be rooting him on.
Well, Mitchell, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. If you guys want to, I'm going to give you guys the ability to unmute yourselves here in a second.